Hello grade sixes and welcome to your daily dose of mathematics with WorksheetCloud. I hope you guys had a great weekend, made lots of memories and are looking forward to the week ahead. There shouldn't be too much moaning about doing some mathematics today as you guys were due to go back to school this week. And I can imagine that most of you will be getting into some schoolwork soon. So use this opportunity to get back into the swing of things. Right, the first thing we're going to look at is the challenge I left for you at the end of last week. And that challenge was this challenge over here. Okay. You need to work out the value of the icons. Now, the best way to do this is through trial and error. It took me a few minutes to work it out. I made a few mistakes and then had to go back and redo it. But it's really important that you struggle through the problem and try and figure it out. Okay? Don't give up. So I'm just going to put in the numbers that are there already. Okay? So 0, 0, 2, 12, and 0. Okay? So first of all, I know that this is going to be 6 because 6 times the 2 is 12. Okay. Then this number here will be 0 because 6 multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. Okay. Then I'm just going to put in the other answers because I don't want this to take too long. You can see how you guys fared against my answers. Okay, so again, you should try and get it through trial and error and make sure all the calculations, the multiplication calculations actually work out. And then you guys can move on. Right, okay, so here are here's your schedule for today. So we'll warm up with a little challenge and then some mental maths questions. We'll carry on with our division that we started last week and then a couple of challenges for you at the end. Okay, your warm-up activity for today is as follows. It's an Egyptian theme. See if you can work out the value of all the icons and then the pink question mark at the end. Right, off you go. Okay, guys. So if we get to that quickly, there it is there. Right, so we know, and if I'm going through this too quickly, I apologize. Just remember that this is a recording, so you can, or this is recorded, so you can go back and go forward and pause. So if I'm going to give you the answers before you finish, then you can press pause and try work it out and then carry on with the lesson. So we know that 30 add 30 add 30 is going to give you your 90. Okay, we know that 1 of the Cleopatras is 15. Okay, 15 multiplied by 5 is 75. Plus the 5 is going to give you your 80. I know that 2 scrolls is going to be 10. Then what plus 10 gives me 266. That means these two over here need to multiply together to give me 256. Now 256 is a square number. So what number multiplied by itself gives me 256, and that is 16. And then add 10 to get to the 266. Okay, and then I know my 1 scroll is 5. I know that my 2 Cleopatras is 30. And I know that my pyramid is equal to 8. Okay, and then if I do those calculations, sorry, that should be add. If I do those calculations, then 30 multiplied by 8 is 240, plus the 5 is 245. Okay, so well done if you got that. If you didn't, then there'll be one for you at the end to have a go at. Okay, your mental maths questions for today are in front of you. I'll give you an opportunity to read through them and answer them, and then I will give you work through the answers with you. Okay, so we're going to carry on with that. And again, remember that you can pause and rewind and fast forward. Let's have a look. Okay, so I've already written in the three numbers that 1,151 should be rounded off to. So this is your nearest 10. This is your nearest 100, 1,200, and that is your nearest 1,000. Okay? 23 multiplied by 15, I would do it with a split strategy. So you can either split 23 or 15. You can split both. I haven't gone through that method with you. So I'm going to show you one of the ones I would have done last week. I would go 23 multiplied by 10 equals 230. Okay? Then I would say 23 multiplied by 5, that's going to give me 115. And then when I add them, I get 345. Okay? The two inverse operations of 6 multiplied by 9 are going to be 54 divided by 9 is 6, and 54 divided by 6 is 9. Okay, so 54 divided by 6 equals 9, and 54 divided by 9 is equal to 6. So remember, the inverse or operation is the opposite. And I mentioned last week that it's really important for you guys to know your multiplication tables really well as as the inverse of those multiplication tables. It will become really handy and beneficial for you in future years. Okay, the next one I asked you guys to do was how many minutes are there in a day? Okay, and if I just get to another blank screen quickly. Okay, how many minutes in a day? So that's a kind of calculations. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour multiplied by 24. Okay, so here I've got a friendly number in 60, so I'm going to say 6 multiplied by 24, and I can split that up again into 20 and 4. Okay, then I know that 6 multiplied by 20 is 120, plus the 6 multiplied by 4 is 24. Then if I add them together, I get 144. But I've missed something, and I hope you've picked it up. So you should have noticed that I left the 0 out from 60 to 6 just to make the question a little bit easier. So now I'm only multiplying by a single digit and not a double digit. But then obviously at the end, I need to throw that 0 in. Right, and then the next one I asked you to do was 102 divided by 6. Okay, and again, I asked you guys to think of a strategy we did last week. So I'm going to split 102 up into 60 because I know that 6 can go into 60 exactly 10 times. Then what's left over is 42. So I know that 42 can be divided by 6 7 times, and then my 10 and my 7 add up to give me 17. Okay, well done if you got those, guys. let's look at the next part of the lesson. Okay, so today we're going to look at two more division strategies. The dividing using fractions. So there you can see I've got an example of 216 divided by 18. So I'm just going to show you quickly what I mean by using factors. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm first going to show you the example that I put up on the screen, which was 216 divided by 18. Okay, now we got to look for the factors of 18. So this is where factors from last week becomes a little bit more important. So if you missed that lesson, go back and have a look at the work we did on factors. So I know that 18 has factors of 9 multiplied by 2. Those are a factor pair of 18. So what I can do is I can actually say 216 divided by 2 is equal to 108. Okay, and then I can take that 108 and divide that by 9. And because you guys know your multiplication tables so incredibly well, you will know that 108 divided by 9 is 12. So therefore, 216 divided by 18 is 12. So now I've taken what is traditionally a tricky sum to work out using a long division method, and I've turned it into an easier sum by now just dividing by a single digit. And because I know my timetables, as I said, I've made my life a lot easier. So I've got two examples for you on the screen to do. You need to split the 14 in 126 divided by 14. You need to split that 14 up into a factor pair. And the same for this question on the right-hand side, 564 divided by 12. You need to split 12 up into a factor pair. I'll give you a couple moments to get that one done. Okay, I'm gonna carry on there. Again, if you'd like to pause or rewind, then feel free to do so. Okay, so I'm going to take that 126 divided by 14, and I'm going to change the 14 into 7 and 2, because I know 7 multiplied by 2 is a factor pair of 14. So now here I will have 126, okay, divided by 2, okay, and then that's going to give me 63. And then underneath that, I'm going to have 63 divided by 7, and that's going to give me 9. Sorry, it's a bit of a short 9. Okay, so therefore my answer of 126 divided by 14 is equal to 9. Okay, now it's always handy to check. So if I said 14 multiplied by 9, so I can break the 14 up into 10 and 4. So 10 times 9 is 90, and 4 times 9 is 36. And if you add the 90 and the 36, you will get 126. The question on the right-hand side, let's move it over a bit. Here we go. Okay, 564 divided by 12. I'm going to turn the 12 into 2 multiplied by 6, because that's a factor pair of 12. So I know that 564 divided by 2 is going to give me 282. It's a good thing I worked it out before. And then 282 divided by the 6, okay, is going to give me 47. Okay. So then the equation of 564 divided by 12 is 47. And again, it's a good idea to check and to turn checking into a really good habit. If I said 47 multiplied by 12, I can go 47 multiplied by 10 is 470. And 47 multiplied by 2 is going to be 94. And if I add those in a normal column method, I get my original number of 564. Guys, I'm apologizing about the neatness of my writing. I'm using my finger on the iPad as my stylus is on lockdown at school. Okay, so that was using factors, and I gave you an opportunity there to go through a couple of examples. Okay, I'm going to go into the divisibility rules now, because that's the next section that we're going to. So what the divisibility rules are is there are rules which you can use to help you figure out if a number is divisible by another number. So what I mean by this is the divisibility rule by 2 is any number can be divided by 2 if it's even and ends in 2, 4, 6, 8, and 0. Okay? The same with 5. Any number can be divided by 5 if it ends in 5 and 0. And we know that any number can be divided by 10 if it ends in a 0. When we get to the question of the number 3, okay? Number 3, and I'll actually do an example of this for you. I'll do it for you on this board where I've got the divisibility rules for you. Right, okay, so for the number 3, if I asked you if 1,000, let's put it in here, 1,101, is that divisible by 3? Can that be divided by 3? Now, you can go and do the calculation, 1,101 divided by 3, or you can use the divisibility rule, which states that if the sum of the digits are divisible by 3, then the whole number is divisible by 3. Now, that's quite a mouthful. So what they mean is if I add these individual digits, if I add them up, so if I add 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1, and my answer is a number that can be divided by 3, then this original number over here can be divided by 3. So 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 is equal to 3. So therefore, 1,101 can be divided by 3. Okay? So that's the rule for 3. The rule for 4 is if the last two numbers of the last two digits of a number are divisible by 4, then the whole number is divisible by 4. Okay? And what I mean by that is if I take the number 944, and I asked you, can that number be divided by 4? Then you would look at the last two numbers, the last two digits which make the number 44. And I know that 44 can be divided by 4. It equals 11. Therefore, 944 can be divided by 11. Now, the reason that works is because 4 goes into 100 25 times. It always goes into 125 times. So if it can go into 125 times, it can go into 250 times, it can go into 375 times, 400 to 100 times, etc., etc. So we know that 4 can go into any number in the hundreds. So that's why we only need to look at the last 2 digits. Okay, question 6. Sorry, the number 6. So a number can be divided by 6 if it's even and divisible by 3. Okay, that should say 3 there. All right. 8, very similar to 4, except it's the last 3 numbers which need to be divisible by 8. Okay, and the same reason is we know that 8 can go into 1,000 125 times, always. So it can go into 2,000 perfectly, it can go into 3,000 perfectly. So if I had a number 9,088, divide that by 8, I know that 88 is divisible by 8. Okay, and if I take the last 3 numbers, okay, it's still 88 divisible by 8, which is 11. So therefore that whole number of 9,088 can be divided by 11. Sorry, by 8. Okay. Then the number 9 is the same as 3. If the sum of the digits are divisible by 9, then the whole number is divisible by 9. So a quick example there can be 847. Okay, now if I add 8, 4, and 7 together, I get 19. 19 cannot be divided by 9. Okay, so therefore 847 cannot be divided by 9. But if I had to say 8,479, I think I might have it right there. 16, 20, 28. Sorry, I need to change that to an 8. Okay, if I gave you that number, all right, if you added up those individual digits, so if you said 8 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8, then that should give you 16, that should give you 27. Okay, now 27 can be divided by 9. 9 goes into 27 3 times. So therefore, 8,478 can be divided by 9. Okay. Right, that's our 2 division strategies for today. I hope they make your life a little bit easier. Most of them 2, 5, 10. You guys will know them already. But 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9 are really handy. If you let me just change it to 3. They're really handy to save you a little bit of time when you're working things out. Okay, next for you, I've got your brain bender. Okay, and this is our second last activity. So go ahead and work it out, and then I've got a challenge for you that you can work out for tomorrow. Off you go. Okay, so I'm going to go on with this. So you should remember that it's a multiplication table, and we are looking at the following. Okay, so it's 5 multiplied by 10, which gives you the 50. Okay, so then the wave multiplied by the 10 is going to give you this 30. So the wave must be 3. Okay, and then it is simply a case of trial and error. Okay, 50 and 30 gives me 80. So I still need to get to 144. So once you've done trial and error, you should figure out that the rows is equal to 8. And then the shell will then be equal to 40. Okay, And the shooting star at the bottom is 3 times 8, which is 24. Okay, so that column gives me 64. And if I add those two together, I get the 144 that I'm looking for. Okay, well done if you got that, guys. Right, the last challenge that I have for you is a little game called 24. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to use all the numbers, so all 4 numbers on that one tile. Okay, and you need to use either add, subtract, multiply, divide, or a combination of them. You can use all of them, you can use one of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, but you need to come up with the answer of 24. So I'll do the first one for you. Okay, so here I would go 8 multiplied by 2 equals 16. Okay, 4 plus 4 equals 8. And 16 plus 8 equals 24. Okay, so what you guys need to do for a little bit of practice at home and a challenge at home is to work out what this tile is. It needs to work out to 24, and then a separate one for the third tile that needs to add up or calculate, sorry, to 24. Okay. Right, guys, you'll see that there is an email address at the bottom where you can see my cursor going over it, grade6@worksheetcloud.com. Please send me any questions that you might have, and I will try really hard to answer them either before the next lesson or during the next lesson. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. All the best, guys.